a very engaging, very intentional conversation right now with a group of incredible women who are all doing very unique and disruptive things in their particular industries. And we wanted to really end the day on this note because we know that WICERS is really underscored by a need to bring women together, particularly women who are in underrepresented industries and in spaces where they often cannot look to their right or to their left and see women who are doing unique and incredible work similar to what they're doing, and the importance of creating an opportunity to strengthen those networks and to build a stronger, more robust community for women to be supportive of one another as they are growing in their professional and entrepreneurial journeys. My name again is Theia Washington-Smith. I'm the founding executive director of the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, which is a business incubator located here in Atlanta designed to help early stage company building women entrepreneurs to become more well-resourced, well-trained, and equipped to create job opportunities here in the Atlanta area. And we are so excited to be a part of WICERS for year 5. We have been with it since its inception. In fact, it was one of the first things that we did under our task of becoming the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative was to partner with the incredible group of women who started WICERS. So this conversation is really designed to help intersect what we do each day in supporting women entrepreneurs with the areas and the industries where we know women are often underrepresented. And we're going to have an incredible conversation with 3 women who are closest to the action of what that looks like in their day-to-day lives. So with that, I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves, tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and your favorite restaurant in Atlanta. Threw that one in there. We'll start here to my left.
My name is Linda Goetze, and I'm the president and CEO of the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce. It has been an amazing journey, and when I look at this room that is mostly women and probably 3 to 5% men, maybe, it's very reminiscent of the reverse of what we see in most blockchain conferences. And so it's a pleasure and an honor to be here and get to connect with strong women who are leading in a technological field, whether that's, steel or, micro, what was that again? Nanotech. I knew it was like little tiny, tiny stuff. No, so we have an organization that is reaching the world and bringing it together around the benefits that blockchain can bring. And so it's my pleasure to get to help lead that. I was on the phone today with a gentleman in Greece and someone in India, and this is just a worldwide collaborative effort. And here in Atlanta, to come back to the other part of the question, I love Eclipse de Luna. Mm-hmm. And my husband, sounds like we have some other fans out there. My husband took my parents there, and it was one of the most real and beautiful conversations that I took part in. And so restaurants aren't always about the food, which they do have these amazing like fried green beans, but it's about the feelings that you have and the memories that you connect to a specific location. So that's one that I've loved, and I've called Atlanta home for a while now, and always come back to Georgia as I've traveled around to many places around the world. It's a wonderful place to call home. So it's good to be here.
Thanks, Linda. Welcome.
Okay, my name is Tonya Hicks. I'm the president and CEO of Power Solutions. That's my first, baby in entrepreneurship. I've been in that business for 18 and a half years, and I'm an electrical contractor and electrician, and I guess a mama too.
You guess?
And I guess a mama too.
Some days you are, some days you aren't.
Some days, I don't know. My youngest baby, which is Women Do Everything. I'm the president. I started as a blog in 2008, and 2015 turned it into a business. And we have, our pivot when we first started with home repair and maintenance for busy, successful women. We still do that if you need it, but I decided to make Women Do Everything a cooperative, where we support women in male-dominated industries. It's about 8 different industries. And we look forward to our new co-working space that we're opening. Yeah.
And where do you eat, Tonya? What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite.
When you're taking a break from all of that.
I think it's called Twisted Sisters. It's a soul food
Oh,
restaurant.
Twisted Soul?
Twisted Soul, I mean,
Yeah.
Twisted Soul.
Yes,
Because
yes.
there's like sisters, like, anyway. But yeah, Twisted Soul. And, you know, I'm a big cook, so I don't really eat out, and I don't like restaurants like that. But that's one restaurant I never get enough of. I mean, it's just so, everything's so good. And I've been like on keto, so it's like, it's been a struggle. So it's a whole nother thing, but go ahead.
My name is Jamine Moton, and I am the founder, CEO of Skylar Security. We are a non-traditional private security company. We offer police officers, unarmed guards, bodyguards, and also private investigators. We offer customization on both sides of the relationship, the client side, as well as the guard side. You interact with a Skylar security guard, and you will never see security the same way. I used to be a police officer in a Metro Atlanta Police Department, and the jokes that I was behind when I told them that I was in the private sector, it just stopped getting funny. And I realized that there's a problem in our industry, that there's not a lot of respect for the security professionals, and if you're making $9 an hour, you probably don't have respect for much, especially when your employer pays you that to secure someone else's property. So we commit to being a part of the larger conversation around lifting not only the city of Atlanta around private security, but the industry as a whole. We leverage innovation, technology to make sure that we can offer our service to our clients faster, quicker, more effective. We were honored to be a part of the Super Bowl. And the thing about Skylar is that we are 100% referral based. I like to say we're in the black market underground. Can't be there anymore because of the Super Bowl. We did that event and now everyone knows about Skylar, but we only grow off of referrals. So our providers are referral based. That's how we hold to our brand, and our clients are also referral based. So when they interact with us, they know what to expect. I don't have to answer a lot of questions. They're really happy that they found us. In 5 years, we've never lost a client, where the turnover rate for clients in the private security industry is yearly. So we're very happy with the work that we're doing, staying ahead of the conversation. And I am very proud to be a minority female woman in this industry leading that conversation. My favorite restaurant, it's probably a restaurant, Apache Cafe. They actually just moved. Their jerk wings are phenomenal. You could probably find me there on Wednesday nights, somewhere in the back with a hat on, enjoying the live band and the music there. So between good sounding music from artists, underground artists in Atlanta, to the jerk wings, I'm in heaven, absolutely in heaven. So that's Skylar.
Yeah. All right, ladies, so for each of you, you've already talked a bit about your industry and just what that journey is like being in an industry where you are often one of few women or the only one. So, you know, when you think about your entry point into your industries, and Linda, we'll start with you, what really spurred you to act to get into the industry? I mean, there has to be at some point a decision to move into a space where you know you are going to be one of a few or the only. What for you compelled you to get involved in the blockchain space?
The fact that I'm an educator at heart is really where that push came from. But I was blessed to participate in an event where my husband and I were educated about blockchain. And at that point, it was only Bitcoin that people were familiar with a little over 6 years ago. And we were told that it was a diversified asset class that was uncorrelated, and that it had an underlying technology that was going to change the way the world worked. And because of who we were being educated by, we took them seriously enough to act on it, even though the experience at that time was really, really uncomfortable. Nothing like going to Coinbase today and, you know, you just enter a few things and they have you take a little picture of your ID, and, you know, it's a little bit obnoxious, but trust me, it's a lot easier than going and getting cash from the bank and printing out a list of instructions, going and standing at the Walgreens with a stack of cash that the lady looks at you funny, you know, while you're standing there. You're like, what is it? Can you just follow these instructions? You know, they sit there in front of everybody. The line gets longer and longer behind you. You know, they're counting. And they have to print something out, hand it to you. Then you go to the back of the store and you're like, God, who's been watching me? Hand that, you know. And then you have to put that into a machine and get this long number and hope when you go home and put that number in your computer that somehow Bitcoin magically appear after your computer grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds. That was the experience that we had. But because we had education, we were willing to take those steps because we felt that there was something worthwhile that we were going to get from that interaction. And now that there's so much more convenience around blockchain, it's still something that people feel is unknown. And fear of the unknown is what has kept people back. And then we have this hype cycle that makes people jump in because they have fear of missing out. So fear has been driving this. And what I believe we can do through the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce is have education drive mass adoption. So people getting enough information that is clear and actionable will allow them either to engage with the blockchain technology and participate in what's happening in government, what's happening in the healthcare industry, what's happened in the real estate industry. All of those places, you can interact there, you can interact in the cryptocurrencies, but not do it because of hype or fear. Do it because you understand that this is the way the world is headed. And you want to be part of the first wave, not part of the last wave. So that's education is what brought me in. My passion as an educator is what brings me here. And I connected with a group of people that were intent on pulling the community together and educating the community worldwide. And that resonated with who I am, my experience base. And so it's just been a natural transition into leading the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce.
Love that. So the education, from what I'm hearing from you, the education is really creating the access for more people to understand it, for more people to get involved in it, not out of reacting to the fear of it, but understanding it to be an absolute way of convenience in a way that really it sounds like we're moving towards when it comes to how we are financially autonomous in the world.
It's changing a lot of the ways that the unbanked are being able to access funds, to build credit histories, to own their identity. There's so many assets that are being put onto blockchain that is changing the way value is transferred worldwide. So, it's the education is necessary to empower people to participate in what's happening. Instead of having it happen to them, they can be part of making it happen and experiencing the benefits that are going to come to early adopters more so than the last adopters.
Got it. Tonya, how about you? What really what was the charge for you that said, I have to get involved in the electrical engineering space, the robotic space, the lighting space? I know your background, so I know how deep into some of these really niche areas, particularly these technical areas you are. What got you involved in it?
Well, from electrical, because I'm a journeyman wireman electrician, I think, of course, I love math. I like building stuff with my hands. So it kind of, when I saw that electricians use math all day, I loved it. But I think as far as being in the industry, people ask me, like, why did how you stick it out, because it's kind of like a hostile work environment. I don't know, as a young woman, you like, it's like you're fearless. So I was, I guess, brave enough to go, but hungry enough to stay. I'm kind of, I think I'm a natural fighter. So it's like, it was nothing they were gonna keep me from doing or knowing. I kind of, no offense to the men, I think we run circles around them mentally. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, what we doing today? And no matter how they push me down, push me out, or try to box me, in, I was just determined and I would tell them every day, y'all know I'm a better electrician than y'all. That was just like my attitude. I was gonna be the best, and anytime they even thought they were gonna lower the bar for me, I refused. And so I welcomed having to be better, to be considered equal. I knew it was gonna make me better, faster. I don't know. I think it's that hunger for to be the best, or because I am, no offense to the people non-union, but I am union. I feel like the IBEW is the best. So we feel like we're the best electricians, and we're always competing. And with Women Do Everything, what I quickly learned is it's not enough women in our industry. In construction, it's only about 8%. And and over the past few years, women in construction has actually declined, and it's because of the hostile work environment and the culture. And so I wanted to create something where we could help each other. A lot of women in construction are like type A personality, and it's like when you're a strong woman, nobody seeks to help you. Nobody's asking, are you okay? They always like, oh, you got it. And I just wanted to create a community and an environment where we can lean on each other, and as I've said often, so we can cuss, cry, and complain, and get back to work. So that's basically it.
Jamine, tell us about your experience.
Yeah.
When did you realize that the security space, disrupting the security space, was where you wanted to be, and particularly where you wanted to start a business?
Right. So, and I say this proudly, I am 6 foot tall and I weigh about, well, this morning. This morning I was 288, but I don't think I'm 288. There's no way. We'll go to 280.
It's broke.
Now, I was 288 this morning. I actually weighed myself. So I'm not a little girl. When I was in high school, I was always bigger. I was the athlete, the basketball player, the track star, soccer player. And I've always had a passion for advocating people. So I was a bully's bully, flat out. I had a passion for people, a passion for community. So anytime I saw someone that needed someone to speak up for them, I was that voice. Because I was an athlete, I was respected in my community, and everyone knew me. And so if someone was being bullied, I would walk up to them and just say, hey, man, you probably want to leave her alone. And just on that alone, they were like, okay, Mo, why don't you leave us alone? No, how about you leave her alone? And I've always been an advocate. I became a police officer. My goal was to go to the FBI as a behavior analyst. Went to Clemson, got a master's degree, set the course academically, became a police officer with a master's degree, and everyone was asking me, why are you here? You're a little too articulate, a little too sharp for us. And I was proud because of my education, I set myself up where I wanted to go. I was in control of where I wanted to be. I was at that department because I chose that department because of their crime against children stats, and I wanted to put myself in the middle of the community. I always had the skill of an entrepreneur. I knew I was going to do something. I didn't realize it was going to be this until one day, and I tell this story all the time because a lot of people see the success that we've experienced in the short term, but what people don't see is the story and how we got there. So when I was a police officer, I tell people all the time I put a vest on to go to work. And then there's stories in there, like you said, predominantly male-driven leadership and community. And so one day, a supervisor came up to me and said that she was going to write me up for being too supervisory. So I had to take a breath. And by that point, I felt that, I don't know how to say this, I felt that there were some issues with my style and my casual. I was very community service oriented. I didn't go to work to arrest people. I went to work to change people and help people and counsel people. So I was the one that would say, hey man, just calm down, hand off a gun and everything. I'm just wide open, I can get shot in the face. But I was there to change and to help them, re-educate them on, what they could be doing, what they couldn't be doing. But very rarely did I ever go on scene to make an arrest. That gave me a heart for the community. So when she told me I was too supervisory, I didn't get an attitude. I was shocked that she said that to me. And I went home, looked in the mirror, and I said, you're going to start your own business. And we're going to use this to build. We're going to go back to work. We're going to do the job just as well as you were doing it before, address the write-up, and we are going to excel. What did that look like? I was in the process of going to the FBI, called the FBI. I was at the end of the process, almost to the academy, and I called her and I said, I'd like for you to rescind my application. And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Absolutely. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm gonna start my own company." 3 years later was last February, and it was the best decision that I made, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Skylar gives me the ability to protect not only the city of Atlanta, but I feel that we protect the world. Everywhere Skylar is, we have a responsibility. Security is an emotion, and everyone deserves to be safe. So I protect people. What does Skylar do? We protect people, period. Skylar is not a business, it is an emotion. So I literally can sit at the table with people at the front of their fear and help them have a voice and help them have a peace of mind and keep them safe. I don't know, you know, man, that's to me, I enjoyed my vest going to work, but I really take pride in that process. And I'm very proud of being able to advocate for businesses. And so it's almost like I'm in high school again. I'm still a bully's bully. I just do it full time now.
And you know, I get a unique lens into you and to Tonya, because Jamine is one of our current cohort members of WE, and Tonya was in our inaugural class of the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative. So I've been witness to how you both are so intentional about really moving toward opportunity, almost just being very laser focused on opportunity. Jamine will not brag at all, but I know she's walking off the stage to go participate in one of the most competitive entrepreneurship programs. To be accepted into it is no small feat. To be accepted into it as a minority woman is an even bigger accomplishment, and you're leaving here to go up to Boston to be a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. It's a big deal. But I bring that up because I remember even talking about this panel and you saying, I'll be there. This is important for me. This matters to me. This is a platform for me to get to share more about my story. I will make this work. And how intentional you've been about crafting your own path towards these opportunities. Tonya, I was just with a few weeks ago, and we were with one of the most successful women venture capitalists in the country. And she spent a few minutes with Tonya, and she said, I need you in New York, like in 48 hours for this opportunity. And Tonya was, the next thing I know, she's on the phone and she's booking a flight. And so I've seen how intentional you all have both been. So I think for you, and certainly for you too, Linda, as we're getting to know each other, there's an intentionality to what you all are doing and how you all are crafting a blueprint. Talk a little bit about that. What are the guiding principles for you as you're building your own brands that have really helped to shape where you're going, where you are now, but where most importantly you want to go? What do you all do with intention to move you forward with your goals?
Wow, I think I'm a little bit different in regard to the fact that I'm building a community with a strong team of people, more so than I'm building an individual business. And I love what you were saying about the feeling that you were bringing, is that feeling of security. And what we're bringing to the world is that education that's going to bring that feeling of understanding and security when it comes to blockchain technology and its implementation. So being intentional about that and being very collaborative about that, I think that's one of the ways that I believe I've been able to step into this role effectively, is the heart that I have personally, because that resonates with the heart of the chamber. The outreach to the community worldwide is something that I just love. Like it's a joy to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get on the phone with someone on the other side of the world, where it's their afternoon, and we're collaborating and talking, because the world doesn't sleep. Right? And so being intentional about connecting with the world and having the background that I do personally, my parents were actually missionaries in Ghana and then missionaries in Peru in South America. So my dad brags that he had kids born, in 4 hemispheres. And I was actually made in Peru, so that's my fun thing. My oldest sister is from Ghana, so her name is Claire Eileen Ama, which is the day of the week that she was born in Ghana. That's part of her name because of that location and connection there. So connecting with the world and being blessed with the opportunity to be the facilitator of this platform with the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce it's just a privilege. And so I don't see it as something that I'm building me. It's something where I get to be part of this collaborative connecting point to help. Blockchain can be used for good or evil, right? Yeah. And I believe that the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce is at a pivotal point to help focus the use of blockchain for good and for the benefit of the community as a whole. So that's what drives me, that's what empowers me to do what I do and connect the way I do, because I believe it's a very, very important role. And it's a big world, and it's a big opportunity. So happy to just be in it.
Yeah. Tonya, what's the favorite part of your day as an electrician, as you're building out this co-working space for these non-traditional women in non-traditional industries? Yeah. What part of your day do you just realize I'm getting it right?
I think it's like late at night, but you know, when you start thinking about all the stuff you didn't do or you didn't have an opportunity to do because you wanted to get it in. I told someone the other day, I feel like I die every day. I feel like, because I go hard every day. And I feel like I rise again to do it better tomorrow. In our industry, at the level, my contracts are the multi-million-dollar contracts now. And at that level, it's really, really aggressive. I don't know no other way to say it. It's almost like being on the football field and, you know, they hitting you sometimes harder than the guy next to you. And it's almost like I feel like I have to do it for the people that are coming behind me. And I can't let the people coming behind me down. I have to stand in this space. I have to own it. I have to show up every day. I have to be prepared. And I think that's what keeps me going. And I think you witnessed it when we were in Weed. I help other women contractors all the time. Women calling me, well, they trying to put this in my contract, or they trying to do this. And I'm like, nope, you can't do that because this. And I did not even realize how much, I have been in business 18 years, but you don't realize how much you know until people start fighting you on a level you didn't even know you were on. And knowledge just start coming from everywhere. It's like, you know what to do. My attorneys are and it's like, wow, I'm further along than I even thought, because sometimes you just got your head down working. And then you realize, I really got a lot in place. And when I realized I didn't have another woman in the same space helping me. I'm the only woman electrical contractor in the Southeast to compete at this level. And I think that's what it drives me. And it's like, I can't wait to hold the door open. You know, it's that thing, you want to be the door holder. You don't, being a trailblazer is not enough for me, because when you blaze a trail, unless it's a steady flow of people coming behind you, the brush grow back up.
That's right.
So I created Women Do Everything so I can keep going back. I say it's my own underground railroad. And it's like, I'm coming to get everybody. And I tell them every day, I know, because they know how competitive I am. So it's not, I love men. A lot of men work for me. But I'm like, we coming. And you better be ready. And so, you know, some of them think it's funny, some think it's not. But they know I mean it.
Well, and I'm glad you touched on that about, you know, they better be ready, right? And just thinking about how often women are underestimated, particularly in industries where there are not a lot of us. And for me, there's an opportunity there to turn what can often be seen as a weakness into a strength, because if people are underestimating you and not looking for you and can't see you coming, you know, you cannot stop what you can't see. So how have you all been able to use that to your benefit, being underestimated, being in spaces where people may not expect you to show up with the level of knowledge that you have, with the level of experience that you have? How have you pivoted that into being a strength for you in your particular industries? Jamine, what's it look like for you in the security space?
I think for me, because of our business model is referral-based.
Yep.
a lot of people hear the concept, but they really don't know what it is. You don't really know and understand what we call the Skylar way until you experience it. One of our clients, and I'm proud to say who it is, Habitat for Humanity, loved our concept and wanted to give us an opportunity. That turned very quickly, within 2 months, from 3 or 4 builds to the entire portfolio. And last week, I was with them, and they said, you guys are like they still don't, this is feeling thing, right? They feel safe, they feel protected, and they're like, you're like the Chick-fil-A of security. And I'm like, okay, that's a good brand. That works. And then he was like, no, you're like the Delta of security. And I was like, just don't say Uber of security. Just do that. But they're associating us with brands. What that tells me is that we're doing something right. Mind you, I was quiet for 3.5 years about Skylar. Because I wanted to work in silence. Because once you're out, you can't pull yourself back in. And I wanted to do the work. I wanted to be intentional about the process, about the team, about my capability, because something in my gut told me that once we officially introduce ourselves to the world, that we would be in demand. So I wanted to be ready. And then when we did the Super Bowl, that was the catapult. And so now we're out. The intention of that timing, I think, lends to something that you can't control with your hands. Like, you have to be ready when your market calls for you. If your market's not calling for you, then you're still preparing. Once your market calls for you, then you can go as far as your preparation and your capability lends you to. So what I found myself, getting the wee, Super Bowl, I didn't have a life. No Thanksgiving, Christmas for me. Got up 9 to 9 in the morning at we, leaving at 9. I think Nisha and I closed the office several times together.
Yes.
Just preparing. Did I know we were going to earn the NFL as a client? No. Did I feel that the client would ask us the second day to double our shifts? Right? Security is an emotion. So you never say no. But when the NFL doubles your shifts, we're talking stretching and stress tests. If you know business, a stress test.
Yeah.
That was our stress test. And I was I guess the visionary and the driver of the stress test. And they killed it. But it was because we were intentional about working in quiet, not bragging, barely telling our story. But when it came time to tell the story, we have substance and things that we can share with the next generation. I mean, that hits my heart so deep when you talk about that we, I want to be intentional about physically sitting here showing you that when I was at the police department, we were at $100,000 a year, doubled my salary. It was a test between God and I. Told God, double my salary. Okay, you did it, let's do it again. Did it again, 150. And we're scaling to $1 million this year. And what we were intentional about, but sure, right? But what that means, and you understand that scale. Yeah, okay, if I took my shirt off, you would see the hair on my chest, okay? Literally, it is something you have to prepare for. There's a reason only 2% of less than 2% of women-owned businesses make it to $1 million. So if you have an idea and a concept that is disruptive and cutting edge, you need to start preparing. Talk less, prepare more. When that client calls you, you kill it. If it's one house build, okay? One house, we got one house. And we still do, it was a parking detail. Typical security companies would just put anybody down there. We treat that bad boy like a freaking military base, okay? We are so over the top with hospitality and, wave all, everything is just so intentional with everything that we do, small or big, right? So when you get to the B word, the billion word, you have those fundamentals for building a business where it doesn't matter how much the contract is. Security is an emotion. So whether you give me 1 build or 50 builds, we're going to treat each one of them the same because we're fundamentally sound, right? I've had my 15 minutes of fame already. I went to Clemson. So I'm good on that, right? I'm not here to be a brand myself. The brand is the officers and the business. And I think being intentional about working in quiet and being intentional about your quiet time is what the game changer was for us. And so now that we're in the eyes of the city of Atlanta and other communities that we serve, man, we're kicking it out of the park because we're prepared. Yeah. Not because we're so great and wonderful, because we took the time to prepare, and that made the difference.
You touched on something, Jamine, less than 2% of women, she brings up a great point, less than 2%, it's actually 1.7. The numbers stand at about 1.7% of women-owned businesses will ever reach at least $1 million in revenue during the course of that business. Without putting you all out here on all the spotlight, we feature 2 women of color who have done it. Tonya has done it a couple times over. And Jamine, because I'm all up in her business, she's a We Entrepreneur, is on course to do it very, 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 very soon.
Very soon.
And so how do we get more, and for you too, Linda, how do we get more women to a space that what we consider to be that tipping point, right? With revenue, when we start to think about funding capacity for the business, how do we move more women into these seats that you all are sitting in now? What are some practical, prescriptive things we can do in this room to help support other women in business, to help move more women into careers that push them closer to that? What can we do to help increase from that 1.7% and an even much more dismal number? I think it's really more around the 0.5% for women of color.
We show them. We are examples of what's possible. We get together and say, hey, we're supported, we're not alone. And I love organizations that are intentional about doing that. Because it gives that foundation that people can come to if they have the inkling. I love I'm an entrepreneur. I'm gonna step past this, FBI opportunity that felt like my end all, and I'm going to make something that is mine and can help people and can change the world. So that stepping out as individuals, and then the individuals that do step out, having places to gather and say, you know what, you're surrounded by people who are empowering you and believing that you can do it too. That's where I believe community is that place. I believe it with the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce. We're working to build community and be intentional to show strong female leadership and have the opportunity to gather and educate. And as women, we are community builders, right? When you connected with the reality that people just need to feel safe, right? That's an emotion. That's not a location or who's at your door. Or it's a feeling. We're really good at that as women, right? Giving that feeling of safety, that feeling like, okay, we're together in this, right? And you can't take that away from us. Right. And so that, in my mind, that connective collaboration that we can bring through organizations like the Women's Entrepreneurial.
You can call it WE.
That one? Yeah. See, I love it. I love acronyms, right? I think that's a huge empowerment point for women.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Tonya.
Well, and I also think it's about the people that are connected to you. I don't use revenue generating hours to talk about nothing but how we making money. And all my friends know that. It's like, so none of my family members can call me and ask me about nothing. It's like, you know what time it is? You got to call me after 8. We have to be intentional. Yeah.
Not 5.
Yeah, if you want to talk about your man or something, you got to call me after 8. So, I'm just saying, because my mind, it's like I pride myself on being focused. And my close friends, we talk about capital, credit, and contracts every day, all day. We are so focused on where we're going, who we're working with. Are we going to meet our sales goal for this week, for this quarter? What did you find out about funding? It's like, I think not enough women know how to hunt. It's like, everybody, and I know you have to, you know, have passion for what you do, care about your community, but you got to know how to go get it. I'm a union contractor, and my electricians make a lot of money. And so when people say, oh, be passionate about what you do, or just focus on your passion, they don't have to make payroll. Them, right. So, you know, and I know I'm a little different because I cook every day. That's my stress reliever. I put a lot of my baked goods, stuff I'm cooking online. But, you know, my team know that I'm going out to get it, to feed all of us. I have men that had to go work for other people, calling me back like, when can I come back and work with you? And I think that says something. They know that I'm going to not take care of them, take care of their families. It's like, I'm a real boss. Bosses provide opportunities for other people to make money. I'm not just a solopreneur, entrepreneur. I'm not just worried about me. Every day, I think as a leader, you lose the right to only think about yourself. So our purpose, I think we need to have more conversations about capital, credit, but also about how to get opportunities. And when people ask me, well, what can we do to help women? Hire a woman. Right. Think about adding another woman to your team. It's like, that's what we need. We need to know where the contracts are, but also how to get in. And so I hire women all the time. I get you in however, if I had to get you in the back door, you're going to get in there, because a lot of times women don't get opportunities because they don't have the past performance. Yeah. So I've had women ride my contract just so they can get the past performance, not that I even needed them. Because this is a struggle for territory out here. Some people say, well, they don't want us to make any money. They don't care about you making money. They don't want to give up the territory. And so when you understand that, when people see, I have, at the Department of Watershed, I have women that work for the Department of Watershed come around to see a woman on a job or to see a woman owner. Because sometimes people don't know where they can be until they see it. So that's about it.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, so I'm going to keep us on time because we got to get both of these women. Someone has to get to the airport, and I know, Linda, you've got somewhere to go to, but I want to make sure we have enough time for questions. So last thought of reflection for you all, looking back on where you are now, Tonya, 18 years ago, you started Power Solutions, or even 4 years ago, almost 5 now, starting Women Do Everything. Jamine, when you were walking out and you were given that notice that you can rescind the application, Linda, thinking about what you learned with those educators and deciding that moving into what was then a very unknown space around blockchain, what would you tell yourself then that you know now that maybe you took too serious, maybe you worried too much about? What would you look back on and say to your old self as you were starting in these unique spaces that you know for sure today? Who wants to start us off?
I can start. You
got it, Tonya?
Yeah, don't allow your highs to get you too high and your lows to get you too low. You want to stay right there in the middle, because anytime you're doing really well, there's a day you won't. I've made it through 9/11 and the recession, and the lowest my sales got was $250,000. And a lot of people are like, wow, you made it. It's like bad times happen to everybody. Having low cash happens to everybody. It's like, I think you can't let yourself get in that space. And a lot of people think, well, how do you stay motivated? I don't stay motivated. I'm a professional. I do what I have to do every day. Yeah. And I think that book, The War of Art with Stephen Pressfield, it talks about the difference between an amateur and a professional. We do what we have to do because we know the results we want to get. So that's what I would tell myself. Don't let your highs get you too high, and don't let your lows get you too low.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Jamine, Linda?
So for me, I would tell myself, you've been here already. Like, you've been here already. Every experience, you've been there already. And what does that mean? So I think about this moment often when I was, those ACC championships, I had about 40 points on my back. And I was just like, you guys are putting too much on me. But I had to hit the number, right?
Jamine says that like it's no big deal. It's
I
an ACC championship. 40 points.
Well, it was track and field. I was a hammer thrower, and it was a shot put. I was supposed to win. I was supposed to win all my events. And
no pressure. No pressure.
And I threw the shot put over top of my head. And I'm really strong, so it went really high. And I fell off the back of I don't know if you guys know anything about shot put, but I was literally on the edge of the top, threw it up, working on agility, and it went really high in the air, and I start backpedaling to get my footing. The shot comes down from the top, and it hits my knee. And the whole crowd, I think I was a junior, the whole crowd and I just like laid there, and my coach runs over to me, and I'm just like, just give me a second, just give me a second. My knee was in excruciating pain, right? I think I won one event. I had to win 2 more events for us to win the ACC championship. So a lot riding on me. And my coach called the other week, and he was bringing that back to my remembrance, and he was like, I was so nervous. He's like, I came over to you, and I was like, everybody, just don't touch her. Leave her alone. She's got it. So he lifts me up, and he's like, just walk it off. Like, just walk it off. And I was like, Coach, I need you to calm down. I got it. I just need to breathe and just process this, and trust me, I will be fine. I went on to win and break the record and threw like my best ever. Right? But my point is that you don't see the process. Yeah. And so when the rubber hit the road and a hard decision had to be made, you have the capability to make the decision. Whether it's walking away from the police department and depleting your pension and having $20,000. Okay, yes, it was a $20,000 pension. $20,000 pension for working 5 years at a police department. To saying no to the FBI when that was my key to my house and my car. My retirement was right in that, and I thought that was my life's dream. To walking out to start your own business and have almost nothing, just off an idea. You've been there before. Yeah. So when you face adversity, whether it's because you're a minority female, and everything's not always about race and gender. Sometimes you just have to level up. Go get some more education. Yeah. Compete, right? Stop giving yourself excuses because you're a minority, because you're a woman. In some spaces, it really doesn't matter. Level up. Figure out a better product. Innovate, right? So I had to, and I tell myself, so when Super Bowl came up, I leveled up. When the client called and said, we need to double your shifts, I felt the shot hit my knee. And I'm like, oh God, how am I gonna do what in the world? But I said yes, and again, we were successful. So if I knew what I know now, I probably wouldn't overthink as much because I've been there before. So life comes around over and over and over and over again. And you either are successful and you can see it as a way to grow or as a way to fail. As women, we're going to be successful and we're going to use it as an opportunity to grow. I know you have countless stories about experiences being the minority in the room. Yeah. But through my eyes, I don't see gender, I don't see race, I don't see sexual preference, I don't see how big I am, I just see what's in front of me. And I'm bold enough to feel that I have the capability. I would probably believe in myself a little bit more. And if I did, I probably would have left the department sooner. Mm-hmm. But I left at a time where it made sense for me. And going back, looking at it again, I would remind myself, you've been here before, you're beyond capable, and what you don't know, I know you'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And you're gonna kill it. Yeah. And that's what I would tell myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to clap. I
know, right?
Linda, take us home. Follow that up. What would you, what would you tell yourself when you were thinking about getting into blockchain?
Yeah, do the next thing first.
Do the next thing
Do
first.
the next thing first. A lot of times we get stopped and we stall, we let fear control us. We don't know what the next steps are, right? This has never been done before. Things that are happening in blockchain, things that are being done around the world, they have never happened before with this technology, with this diverse of a group of people. This hasn't been done. So I don't have a roadmap. I can't do anything but the next thing first. And for me, having expectations is almost a joke. Because, you know, I'll use this story. My husband comes and it's our anniversary, and he brings me one rose. Am I going to be excited and happy if I had an expectation he was going to bring me a dozen roses? No, I'm going to be disappointed, right? But if he shows up with a single rose and I had zero expectation, do you know how my heart lights up and just how amazing it is and just how, oh my God, and he's gonna have an amazing night because he just made me feel like $1 million, right? Okay? So our expectations of what should be can really color our experience.
Yes.
And so with this field that I'm in, with blockchain, with what's happening with a worldwide community, all I can do is the next thing first. And so just surrounding myself with amazing people that can help with what some of those next things are. I'm learning to find them and trust them rather than just going, okay, I need to figure out the next thing first. So what I'm telling myself now and what I'm still in the middle of is you are the community as a unit. You are not you personally. You are part of a catalyst for growth and change, and be that and allow everyone that's building this community to step with you and do that next thing together. So that's where I'm at.
You know, I strongly believe, and each of you have touched on it in your own experiences that you shared with us today, that, you know, being the first is really only worth celebrating if you're ensuring that you will not be the last. And each of you all are worth celebrating, because what you're doing is ensuring that pathways for other women and other people just will be easier and will be maybe a little less of a challenge, but with more support because of what you're doing and how open and honest you are in sharing your story. So thank you all so much for taking the time to share with us. Can we give them another round of applause? And I think Linda, we have a little bit of time for some questions. We can't see you all probably as well as you can see us because of the lights, but are there any questions that we can take? Maybe we can move to one of the mics. Are there mics? I can't see. Oh, Dwayne the Rock. Okay, perfect. Has a question. Okay, there's mics here.
I don't need a microphone. Actually, it's not a question, but it was sparked by my sister Olympia in there. I threw the shot put too, and I don't even want to stand in the same circle with you, other than to get your autograph and take a picture. But I wanted to share something with all of the women in this room. Some of you may know. How many in here are baseball fans? Okay, so right, I saw one hand go up. 2, 3. So here's the deal, and I hope you guys will carry this with you forevermore. In baseball, if a player bats 300 or above for 10 or 12 years, he is likely to end up in the Hall of Fame. What that means is 3 out of 10 times he hit the ball and got on base. What that means is 7 out of 10 times he either struck out or hit out. But you got to keep swinging. So ladies, take the strikeouts, keep moving forward, because that's just a part of life. And if you can get 3 out of 10, you might end up in the Hall of Fame too. So.
We have another question? Okay, yes.
Thank you very much for what you do. I'm from California and I'm normal, which is hard to believe. But I'm the largest small business lender in the country. for women and minorities. And I developed the loan program because I couldn't get a loan for my business, and I was going to lose it all because I was a woman in a man's business. Yeah. So how did you overcome the obstacles? Because obviously you're all in a man's business. And the second question is, the other thing I see when people are pitching me on their businesses is the fear factor takes over. How do you deal with the fear factor that can creep into your mind?
I'd like to start off the capital. So when I depleted my pension, I took every piece of dollar that I had and I put it in the bank. And I started eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, flat out. I paid my officers first. I paid Skylar's bills second. And I'm still not on salary because my commitment is to my infrastructure first. I was blessed to get a loan from ACE right before the Super Bowl. So that was a blessing. The key thing to that is we didn't need it. We didn't even need it, right? And why? You know, I don't have $1 million. I didn't come from an overly wealthy family. I didn't have anybody kind of bankrolling me on the backside. I was very, very smart with my pennies. And so I'm also very frugal, I don't say cheap, frugal in my personal life. So I kept those principles over to my business. And, you know, even if we probably could spend a little bit, I hold back because I know of the struggle with finding lenders. I happen to have an amazing relationship with ACE. But I also don't want to see that as the norm. So I'm just very, very, very sensitive when it comes to spending. Very frugal, very lean, very lean. I think a lot of times when businesses, we get excited when we see money coming in and we feel like we need to spend it right back out. No, you know, until you have 6 months worth of payroll, because remember the hair on my chest, 6 months worth of payroll in the bank, don't move, do not move until you set yourself up for your runway. Because once you start spending, you have to keep spending. You bring those employees on and you put them on the internal of your infrastructure, you got to keep writing that, you have to keep writing the check. So that's something that's helped me. To combat the fear, support, and put them in community. So partnerships with I'm not sure if, well, we can come to California, can't we?
Of course, we love that. We love you guys.
The We Entrepreneur program, and then, you know, Launchpad 2X with Bernie Dixon and those other programs that are in Atlanta. That's support. You know, my colleague is in the room, Shea Latte Coffee. You know, the support that you get from other We Entrepreneurs and then other entrepreneurs that are in community. I mean, the amazing time, okay? Being in community with other entrepreneurs that are experiencing the same fight. You know, I bet you if I took her shirt off, she'd have hair on her chest too, right? So it's scars and everything. So it's this really nice commonality that you have with other entrepreneurs that are in the same space. So if you feel the fear coming from them and they can, you know, their hands are shaking, they probably need support. So partnering with other incubators in California and people who can turn the corner for them, regardless of gender and stuff, is probably going to be very beneficial.
Yeah. So can I speak to the fear part?
Sure.
I'm probably not so good about the fear part. You know, you know, when you start something young, you know, when you young and fearless, like I was so naive, I didn't even know to be afraid. Like, you know, I'm the first woman in my local and the first African-American woman to be an IBEW journeyman in the state of Mississippi. I worked for 5 Klansmen directly, and I had not one day of fear. I don't know. I just was young and dumb, I think at the time. But when it comes to business, I think when I first experienced anxiety was during the recession. You know, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, I come from nothing, so I was used to that. And my mastermind group convinced me to go into therapy at the Anxiety and Stress Management Institute that's in Marietta. And when I got there, I was like, oh, I'm having rich people problems. I didn't know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You are crazy.
I was sitting next to the lady with a Chanel. I was like, oh, child, I didn't know what was going on. Because I had never felt that before. But But what I realized through that whole, I wish we had longer. I would tell you about my therapist, but anyway, the thing is, what I realized, the higher you go, the more help you need, the more support you need, and I had to get a different relationship about money. You know, money is, that's why it calls current, it's fluid. Money needs attention, and it needs to be flowing. And I think the loss of it made me feel like I lost something, or made me feel like something was, I didn't do something right. And I realized that where I am is not who I am. And now you gotta kind of shift your mind to know that this is just something that's temporary. And also, if you made it before, you can make it again. And that's my mindset. So the whole money thing, you have to force yourself to talk about money, to look at the money, look how much you need, how much you went out, what you got to do. And I think that's more about women with the money. It's like the fear, because a normal thing for women is we want security. We want to know we'll be okay. And that ain't the way entrepreneurship is. It's about, you know what? I don't know what, because I'm like on a roller coaster. I can have like several ups and downs all day. You got to learn how to take that ride and still keep that mindset that I'm doing the best I can, I'm enough, and whatever gonna happen, I'm gonna be ready. You just have to, I think that's more what it is for me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to speak to the fear as well. The thought that I had is the higher I go, the higher I go. And there's a scripture. I told you about my parents being missionaries, so I have scripture that just, you know, is stuck in my head. And there's a scripture, I don't remember the reference to, but it says, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Yeah. And so when I'm feeling fear, because there's a lot that I can't even begin to go into what I know about the bond bubble and the things that are happening in our socioeconomic worldwide space. If I allowed that to take me over personally, I would be a basket case. Literally, I would not see the light of day, and I would eat a lot of chocolate and drink a lot of wine, and it would be ugly, right? I have 10-year-old children. They're twins. They're beautiful. I feel very blessed and fortunate. I need to be here for them. I need to be here for the community that's growing around blockchain. I can't let fear run my life. And so when I see the need and the things that could bring fear, I know that there's a greater power in my life, and that's where I go, because I can't go to the self-dependence, it's on my shoulders, I have to. It's like, no, I am capable through him who gives me strength. Right. And so for me, my faith is an integral part of who I am, how I interact with the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce, life, because fear does not rule us if we don't allow it to, if we don't give it that power. So recognizing our choice is where our strength is. And I choose power and love and a sound mind.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful place, I think, to end it. It doesn't look like we have any other questions out there. So thank all of you for being with us. Thank you to Jamine, Tonya, and Linda.